I have a problem. I am obsessed with racing GT3 and iRacing, but I am tragically, painfully slow. And I don't mean, oh, I'm a few tenths of a second off the pace. I mean, every lap is a struggle to keep the car on the track. Literally seconds, plural, behind anyone else. I spent hours on stream trying to get faster, implementing the tips that you guys gave me with no luck. Then I came up with a genius thought. What's the fastest way to get ahead in life? Besides being the son or daughter of a famous actor, it's money. I threw money at the problem. I opened my wallet and paid a professional iRacing coach to teach me the fundamentals of both racing and GT3. Enter Jack. Jack is a professional iRacing coach with an iRating over 5,000, so he's a lot better than me. Jack's been a real driver for 11 years and has experience racing for professional iRacing organizations like Mag Performance and Fordzilla. That's Ford's esports team if you're not familiar. Very impressive. He's currently a coach for Driver 61, which is a name that you'll probably recognize if you're in the iRacing scene. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know who that was or how cool that was until after my session. But before we meet Jack and actually get coached, let's see how bad we're starting off. Welcome to the scene of the crime. This is the Ben Motorsport Park, and the weapon of choice today is the BMW M4 GT3. I chose this car because it was labeled to be one of the better user-friendly beginner vehicles, but as you'll see, it was a big adjustment for me coming from the Mazda MX-5. To really understand where I was starting out, I made a simple plan. One track, one race, one recording. No smoke and mirrors. I wanted to see exactly how bad I am so that I couldn't use my YouTube editing magic and make it look like I'm faster than I really am. I spent a little bit of time learning the track and the car so that I wasn't a complete novice. I figured it would throw my baseline off if I didn't know the track at all, but once I felt comfortable enough, I hopped in a race and I said, let's do it. That race was interesting. I ended up winning, but that's because there were 3 cars on the track, me included, and 2 people dropped out after spinning out. My corner work was sloppy at best, and it was very clear that I didn't have as well of an understanding of the map as I thought I did. To make matters worse, it was my first time racing on a wet track, so we were in the rain, and that went about as well as you could expect. I spun out a lot. Even though I had a basic understanding of how to drive on the track, I was used to dry conditions, which meant that my braking and everything was thrown off because my normal reference points, if you can even call them that, are different in the rain. As the race progressed, I did get faster. I felt more comfortable both on the track and in the rain, but it was clear that I was hitting a bit of a wall. I knew I was losing speed, but I couldn't really pinpoint where, how, or why. And while my last lap was better than my first, I finished with my slowest lap at a very disappointing 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and my fastest lap not much better at a 2:08. So with the first race out of the way, we know how bad we are. Let's go ahead and meet Jack.
So yeah, like tell me a little bit about yourself racing wise. Like how long you've been doing it and like what's your background?
Oh dude, literally like not very long at all. I've done go-karting every now and again, like maybe once a year just for fun. So yeah. I've been on iRacing for maybe 3 weeks now, and that is the entirety of my racing experience.
Oh, I like that though. You know, honestly, I do, because it's when I hear someone say, "Yeah, so I've been doing sim racing for about 8 years." And I need a lot of help. It's like, we're gonna have a big problem because there's a lot of bad habits to take away. So being pretty new and still trying to learn it is a good thing, in my opinion. So yeah, how we'll do it is get you to load your own test drive with the car and track combo we want to use. Okay, once that's loaded in your own test drive session, I'll get you to then share your screen on Discord if that's possible. No stress, just do what you need to do. Like I say, if you have any crashes or anything, it's honestly a good thing because we can kind of work on why it's happening.
Whoop. Oops. There's the first one.
So good, dude. That's what I want to see. Like I said, it means you're trying and not trying to not make mistakes.
Jack taught me 4 concepts that were key to my improvement in GT3 racing. To start things off, he taught me about the importance of reference points. If you don't know where to start braking at a corner, it's very hard to be consistent. And consistency is key when you're trying to get faster. Even though I had a vague idea of how to take each corner, it was very clear that I was driving on vibes.
I'm not seeing much structure or any case of memorizing or knowing what you need to do. You've got a rough idea kind of where we're going, but you've not got any structure to how you're going to do a corner, what you're going to do for the corner, or knowing what to do, let's say, either. I know this for the very fact that first of all, the braking zones are different on each corner every lap, and your markers were different, turning in point, everything was all very different. There was not much the same. There were different gears, everything was very different. You're taking it as it came to you. So the first thing we really want to strip it back and really start and understand how we can have a structure to our corners. Okay, we've got a couple of references to be kind of looking at right now. Okay, but this white line that you're running along at this side, and then you've got the blue cone there on the left, and on the right side you've got the 150, and then you've got a 150. And it's not to say that one of them is perfect, but we'll be using something like that as a brake marker. I would also suggest that we know it's a right-hander coming up. Okay. So we'd like to be on the left side of the circuit for the right-hander. Obviously you can see from your positioning right now we've still got a good car width over here on this far left that we should be trying to be using. And along with that, if you're on that left side of the circuit, I would try and use some references on the left side of the circuit, because it's very difficult to pick up that vision looking across over to the right when you really should be looking where you're going, which is directly ahead of you. Okay, the blue cone is something that's pretty handy for us right now. If it isn't right, you could use maybe that orange thing on the wall over there, and then even if it's wrong, if that is wrong, it could be slightly afterwards, like a nose afterwards or a car afterwards. There's always something little there that you can kind of reference. And the memorizing that I talked about and the structure that we talked about, I need that on not just one corner, all corners. It's a big memory game, and it's being very active in understanding what you need to change all the time, not just playing it by ear and just winging it.
Jack also taught me that I was braking wrong. When you're in the sim, it's very hard to feel the car. When you're driving in real life, you would never try something crazy like slamming on the brakes and turning the car at the same time, because you can feel it in your body. In the sim, that's a bit of a challenge, because things that wouldn't work in real life seem like they might work in the sim.
Off throttle instantly, on brake straight away, up to that high percentage straight away. We don't want to really waste much time, because we've got to slow this car down nice and efficiently and nice and quickly. Okay, so we want to hit that sort of 80-90% range in that peak pressure, and then it's a case of you're gonna then try and then start the bleeding process to then start turning. Okay, and the bleeding process would be a case of going from your high percentage of like 80-90%, going and bleeds 65, 60, and then it's turning in, and then 50, 40, and then turning in more, 30, 20, turning in more, 10, 5, and then finding your apex and hitting your apex. That's our goal.
He tied this all together with a bathtub analogy. Imagine your car is a bathtub full of water. When you slam on the brakes, all that water is going to want to go forward, and in order to keep the water in the bathtub, you have to slow down progressively. If you go from one extreme to the other, that weight is going to be imbalanced, and the water is going to splash out of the tub. Now, applying that to the car, when you're taking a corner, you need to keep that water over the tires. If you try to turn when the water's out of the tub, you're going to be out of luck.
This big BMW we're driving right now is a big bathtub. Okay. Like, it's sloshing around everywhere, this water right now. Okay, when we hit that brake, all that water sloshes and runs to the front of the car. Okay, and that weight is so heavy that it just wants to go forwards, because that weight is just pushing forwards. That weight is, it just keeps going forwards, and the front tires just cannot cope with the amount of weight that is there. It's just too much for the tires, and they can't work. But as long as we're releasing off of the weight to initially start our turning, that's what we need to take some of the water away, like start then releasing it off the front and start pulling it back slightly, having more of that water over all four wheels, and then having that ability to have that better grip and turning. Obviously, we can't feel that in the sim, which is why it's a big problem.
Lastly, Jack reminded me that we're in a driving sim. It's not like real life where if you mess up, you damage your car and get injured. You can use a reset point and try something over and over again. And unless you're in an actual race, there's no harm in taking a corner flat out and seeing if it's possible. There's no real consequences to crashing your car, and experimenting like that will only make you faster. So with my coaching session complete, let's see how much of a difference it actually made. Continuing on my idea of no smoke and mirrors, I wanted to see exactly where I was at after the coaching session. So I did one lap, one recording to see how much I improved. Now keep in mind that Jack and I only worked on one corner, meaning I'm sure I could shave several seconds off if I actually took the time to practice how we did with one corner with every other corner. With that being said, the tips and tricks Jack taught me about braking and other car mechanics actually helped a lot. Already you can see that I'm more confident in my first corner. I'm thinking through my reference points, my weight distribution, and my braking. Same goes for the next corners. Even though I don't have solid reference points in place yet, I know what the brakes should be doing and how to keep that weight centered over my car. I finished my lap at a 1:57. That's almost 30 seconds faster than my slowest lap in the first race. And to reiterate, that's from practicing one corner and learning some very basic fundamentals. I'm sure I could do better if I took more time. I'm thinking my GT3 career might not be over yet. So the big question, was it worth paying Jack to coach me in iRacing? 100% yes. If you're hitting a wall and you don't know what to do, I would definitely suggest hitting him up. Great guy, and I learned a lot. Things like your braking, how to approach corners, reference points, and even in the sim using things like the reset button are things that I never even considered to do. A massive thank you to Jack for all his help coaching me. I'm really excited to actually try GT3 and not suck too bad, but if anyone has extra tips for me in the comments, feel free to leave them. Thanks everybody for watching. I've got a bathtub to race.